What's going on, America? This is Kevin from Kevin's Corner, where I try to make sense out of nonsense. And I'm going to attempt to put on my hat of a lawyer and try the whole impeachment trial so that we don't even have to go through the pain of it coming up next week and the week after that or whatever. That's how easy this trial can be tried, just with simple common sense. So I'm going to spare you the agony. Now, I want to do a disclaimer. I'm not a lawyer. I just play one on Kevin's Corner. That's all. So my views and opinions do not reflect the views and opinions of real lawyers or YouTube, perhaps, but instead of common sense people. So my degree is in common sense. I'm going to use that as my platform to try this whole trial concerning Adam Pencilneck Schiff. Came out today and read the articles on the Capitol. And I listened to him and I said, does this even need to go the distance? Does it need to go to the whole Senate? I'll go ahead and field this. You guys go ahead, stay home, relax, continue to nominate judges. Enjoy yourselves. I'll take care of this. Let's get the party started. Let's listen to Adam Schiff.
Shall have the sole power of impeachment.
Okay.
And that the president shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors.
Objection! On what grounds? The grounds that this man has a pencil neck that's so skinny that I don't even understand how he's able to get words through that small neck to come out like that. I mean, are you able to eat with that neck without a feeding tube? I mean, can you swallow something that's a little too big? Maybe a grape, a jelly bean, anything like that might choke you to death. But anyway, outside of that, what are you talking about when you say treason? Does anything in that conversation reflect treason or betrayal of your country? Can you explain what you mean when you say high crimes or misdemeanors? Because see, all of the articles that you guys submitted doesn't even fall into any of those categories. I'm gonna need you to elaborate. Okay, let's continue.
In his conduct of the office of the President of the United States, and in violation of his constitutional oath faithfully to execute the office of President of the United States.
Okay.
And to the best of his ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. And in violation of his constitutional duty to take care that the laws be faithfully executed.
Okay.
Donald J. Trump has abused the powers of the presidency in that, using the powers of his high office, President Trump solicited the interference of a foreign government, Ukraine, in the 2020 United States presidential election. Objection!
Your Honor, this man right here is assuming that the president's inquiry about the this is inquiry about Hunter Biden and Joe Biden and their dealings in Ukraine directly revolved around his concern about his 2020 election. Nowhere in the conversation, Your Honor, do you hear my client, Donald J. Trump, mention upcoming elections, a potential struggle with winning if he has to go up against Sleepy, Creepy, Slimy, Sloppy. Not to mention, this man assumes that Joe Biden would be the front runner and the opponent against Donald Trump, whereas there was many people in that race. So the assumption that Donald Trump particularly targeted Joe Biden and his son is ridiculous. You can't prove it. Okay. Secondly, there is legitimate reasons of concern to ask about Joe Biden and Hunter Biden's dealings over in Ukraine, and considering it's the president's job to make sure any foreign entity that we're dealing with and money is going towards and we're supplying weapons, we want to make sure that they're legit. Now, if Pencilneck over here could prove that there is nothing suspicious that would have prompted the average person to inquire about Joe Biden and Hunter Biden's dealings, then maybe he has an argument. But my argument is that he can't. Let's continue.
He did so through a scheme or course of conduct that included soliciting the government of Ukraine to publicly announce investigations that would benefit his re-election, harm the election prospects of a political opponent, and influence the 2020 United States presidential election.
Objection! Your Honor, this is speculation, and he's talking about that he is soliciting a foreign power to help benefit him in his upcoming election, which infers quid pro quo. All right, nothing about his conversation, even remotely, seemed as if it was directed at a future event, but instead, the president specifically referenced the 2016 election that he was more so concerned about than the 2020 election. And so by not mentioning the 2020 election, this man right here is just simply inferring that must be what the president was asking about and hoping that would happen to interfere with his up and coming election. But not only that, Your Honor, by assuming that if these people were to give a press conference or anything of that nature, or even look into the Bidens, that would benefit him politically, versus possibly making sure corruption was not going on over in Ukraine or with any of our citizens or politicians in the United States. But to say that, Your Honor, to say that by asking a foreign power to maybe look into potential crime or investigate something to that nature that might benefit him politically, well, would not also apply that when he asked Mexico to stop illegal immigrants from jumping over the border, that would benefit him politically, but yet no one said that was quid pro quo, even though he said, we will not deal with you guys with the trade. We're going to go ahead and hit you with some of those sanctions unless you guys help us out. Nobody thought that was quid pro quo. So why then, in this case, we're just to assume that this was quid pro quo? I rest for now. Let's listen to the rest of Pencil Neck here.
To his advantage. President Trump also sought to pressure the government of Ukraine to take these steps by conditioning official United States government acts of significant value to Ukraine on its public announcement of the investigations. President Trump engaged in this scheme or course of conduct for corrupt purposes in pursuit of personal political benefit.
Objection. That's speculation, Your Honor. Mr. Pencilneck over here cannot prove that. And secondly, it sounds to me as Mr. Pencilneck, who has obviously a conflict of interest, because if you look at his whole history concerning President Trump, his whole mission and goal from the beginning was to try to impeach the president over many other things. But that's neither here nor there. That's neither here nor there. But what he's saying is that President Trump put all these conditions out there, but yet, Your Honor, none of these conditions were met. So therefore, if President Trump was really putting these conditions out there and soliciting this, and it was a either this or that situation, then why didn't Ukraine follow through? And the more potent question is, why did they get the things that Mr. Pencilneck over here said that they wouldn't get unless they did what Trump said to do? See, and that's my question. Where's the crime that's committed, Your Honor? Are the Democrats in Pencilneck over here trying to make the president of Ukraine feel as if they have been violated when the Ukrainian president is totally unaware that he's been a victim? Are they making him a victim? No more questions for now. Let's continue.
In so doing, President Trump used the powers of the presidency in a manner that compromised the national security of the United States.
Objection. Your Honor, could Pencilneck please explain how the president, by withholding funds from the Ukraine government and giving time to vet them and have his own people make sure that this new president was on the up and up, can you tell me then, Your Honor, how was that putting the United States in jeopardy when it comes to their national security? I'm just curious. Were we under a particular attack from Russia? I'm not sure. Could the Pencilneck over here explain how, by not giving them the funds, even though they got the missiles and all that stuff, but by not giving them the funds, and of course we do know, I want to make this clear to the audience and the jury, that the funds actually was released ahead of the deadline. Okay, just to let everybody know it was released. They got the funds ahead of the deadline. But secondly, could the prosecution please explain how not providing them the funds would jeopardize our country's national security over here? Is Ukraine responsible for protecting the United States from Russia? I'm not sure. It sounds to me as if we're more responsible protecting Ukraine from Russia. So then how are we in danger of our national security being violated? No further questions. Let's continue.
And undermine the integrity of the United States democratic process.
Objection. Your Honor, that is speculation. This man is saying undermining the integrity of the democratic process in America. How can that be, Your Honor? Pencil Neck needs to explain to me how by asking a question concerning a obvious situation that looks suspicious jeopardizes our democracy. I'm just curious. Did the president ever reference anything pertaining to the voting coming up, elections, any of those things? Did he ever suggest anything to make anyone think that all of these inquiries was a sum total of him trying to help himself politically in 2020? Now, if the prosecution over here can't reference that or have any proof of that, then obviously, Your Honor, he's embellishing and he's inferring that that was the case. Let's continue.
He thus ignored and injured the interests of the nation.
Objection. Your Honor, can he explain how he damaged the interests of the nation? Everyone seems to be intact. Everyone seems to be fine. I think Mr. Pencilneck over here is simply making statements that are not true and can't be proved in a court of law. Let's continue.
President Trump engaged in this scheme or course of conduct through the following means. Number one, President Trump, acting both directly and through his agents within and outside the United States government, corruptly solicited the government of Ukraine to publicly announce investigations into A, political opponent, former Vice President Joseph R. Biden Jr., and B, a discredited theory promoted by Russia, alleging that Ukraine, rather than Russia, interfered in the 2016 United States presidential election.
Objection. So the prosecution over here, Pencilneck, is, I'm assuming, talking about the Ukrainian theory that, okay, they had something to do with the server. Now, Pencilneck here is making it appear that the president of the United States is disregarding anything pertaining to Russia's attempt to interfere with our election. That's not the case, Your Honor. My client over here, he recognizes that Russia attempted to interfere with our election through some ads and things like that. But that doesn't mean that Ukraine did not have a part to play in that as well. And we have overwhelming evidence to show that Ukraine also made efforts to interfere with our election, including collusion with the DNC. See, so, Your Honor, I want to submit that to the record, because what this man is saying is either this or that, and that's not the case. Two countries could actually be trying to interfere with our election. But the other thing that he said, and I want to go back on the record to make sure.
Joseph R. Biden Jr. And B, a discredited theory promoted by Russia, alleging that...
There it is. Objection. Now, the assumption that Pencilneck is making is that Joseph and Hunter is completely innocent and exonerated and have no outward evidence that would make a president or any person ask the question about corruption over there. But I submit to the jury and the court, Joseph Biden openly saying to the public that I said if Ukraine doesn't fire the prosecutor looking into Burisma, which is a corrupt company that Joseph Biden obviously was aware of, but allowed his son to work on the board and get all of this money, not recognizing it was a potential conflict of interest or even asking his son to step down. And his son went to conduct business on our taxpayers' dollar on Air Force Two. But nonetheless, that's neither here nor there either. But nonetheless, Joseph Biden put out this statement that prompted the president to ask this question. The president never asked this question based on nothing. There was evidence and reason to ask the question. Okay, let's continue, Your Honor.
Ukraine, rather than Russia, interfered in the 2016 United States presidential
Already answered
election.
this.
Number two, with the same corrupt motives, President Trump, acting both directly and through his agents within and outside the United States government, conditioned 2 official acts on the public announcement that he had requested. A, the release of $91 million of United States taxpayer funds that Congress had appropriated on a bipartisan basis for the purpose of providing vital military and security assistance to Ukraine to oppose Russian aggression, and which President Trump had ordered suspended. And B, a head of state meeting at the White House, which the President of Ukraine sought to demonstrate continued United States support for the government of Ukraine in the face of Russian aggression.
Objection, Your Honor. So, Pencil Neck over here is saying that the president pretty much gave an ultimatum. And he said, either you're going to do this interview or this press conference saying you're going to do these investigations or else. And the other ultimatum was to get your money. You're going to have to do this for me. Now, Your Honor, I don't know about you, but if the victim of the so-called crime is unaware that they're being extorted, extorted, or there's some type of quid pro quo going on. If the victim himself is saying, I'm not aware of it and I don't feel like I've been victimized, then who's Pencil Neck here and the Democrats to say that the victim is a victim of this type of abuse? But here's the bigger point, Your Honor. All of the things that Pencil Neck over here is saying that President Trump stuck out there and said, either you do this or you're not getting this. The Ukrainian government not only did not know that these were ultimatums, but they received everything that they were supposed to get. So with that being said, there's no more questions. I rest my case concerning the first half. We're going to take a recess right now to tune in to the rest of me litigating the whole impeachment trial. You're going to have to watch part 2 of Kevin from Kevin's Corner litigating the impeachment trial. So check me out every Wednesday night, 7:30 live in Kevin's Corner. Live on Facebook, my radio blog, talk show, and YouTube. Check out Extreme Tees, my sponsor. If you like something, put my name in the promo code. You get a 20% discount. Find me on Facebook and Twitter. Hit like, hit share, hit subscribe, and the notification button. Make sure that you're still subscribing. Your notifications are set to all. And then let's see what else. Oh, if you want to donate to Kevin and Kevin's Corner, feel free. There's a link under the description of this video. And we'll see y'all next time in Kevin's Corner. Look out for part 2 of this, okay?